My mother always said wedding stress could kill a woman before the marriage even starts. That was her excuse the morning she walked into the sitting room, followed by a small, quiet girl dragging a faded Gonna-Must-Go bag. "Nola, meet Chisholm," she announced, as if presenting a gift. "She'll help us until the wedding is over." I blinked. We didn't discuss hiring anyone. But my mother was already smiling like she had solved world peace. Chisholm bowed slightly. "Good morning, Ma." She looked barely 20. Soft eyes. Nervous hands. A simple Ankara gown that made her look even younger. "Welcome," I said, forcing a tired smile. "I'm Nola." She nodded quickly, avoiding my eyes. I was too tired to argue, so I showed her around, explained chores, and tried to make her comfortable. She barely spoke, just kept saying, "Yes, Ma. Thank you, Ma," like someone afraid to breathe too loudly. By evening, I was drowning in wedding lists again. Caterer issues, decorators sending new prices, Toby barely picking calls. My mother kept insisting everything was normal pre-wedding walla, but my chest felt tight all day. When Toby finally arrived, his presence calmed me instantly. Until he saw Chisholm. She came into the sitting room carrying a tray. She froze when she saw him. Toby paused too, looking at her a second longer than necessary. "This must be the new helper," he said, eyes still on her. "Yes, sir," she replied softly. Something in the air shifted. Small but sharp. I felt it. Later that night, while heading to the kitchen for water, I heard voices in the corridor. Toby's voice. And Chisholm's quiet laugh. "You'll get used to Lagos," he was saying. It shocked me too at first. She giggled again, light, unfamiliar. I froze. It wasn't flirting. It wasn't intimate. It was just laughter. But it was a kind of laughter I hadn't heard Toby give in weeks. And in that moment, a tiny fear settled under my ribs, the kind that arrives softly, like the beginning of a crack in glass. A crack I didn't know would one day shatter everything. I didn't expect the crack to widen so soon. But sometimes betrayal doesn't come loudly. It comes quietly, like footsteps in the hallway when everyone else is asleep. That night, the house was dark. My mother had gone to bed early, and I was in my room struggling to finish a list of guests my aunt insisted we must include. Around 11:47 p.m., the generator had just gone off, leaving the house in a soft, humming silence. That was when I heard it again. Not footsteps. Not whispers. Laughter. A soft giggle, then a low, familiar chuckle that raised the hair on my arms. "Toby." I stepped out of my room quietly, and the corridor stretched ahead of me in shadow. The sound was coming from the kitchen, quiet, but not quiet enough to ignore. I moved closer. "No, sir," Chisholm said between shy laughter. "I didn't know Lagos rice is sweeter than village rice." Toby laughed. "You're just saying that because you're hungry. Wait till you taste Nola's own." I stopped breathing. Chisholm giggled again. "I've not seen her cook yet." Toby paused, then said softly, "She's always busy." That one line slapped something inside me. I didn't enter the kitchen. I just stood there, frozen, wounded, shocked that something so small could sting so deeply. It wasn't the conversation. It wasn't the laughter. It wasn't even Chisholm. It was the ease. The softness in his voice. The attention he was giving her. The version of him I had been trying to pull out for months. I stepped back before they heard me and returned to my room, closing the door quietly behind me. I sat on my bed and stared at my pre-wedding picture on the wall, Toby holding me, both of us laughing. That picture felt like a lie now. Minutes later, I heard Toby leave the kitchen and head toward the guest room where he had been resting after late meetings. His footsteps were normal.
Calm. Light.
He didn't know I'd heard anything. But as he walked away, Chisholm's soft giggle echoed once more, and something cracked again inside my chest. The next morning, she greeted me as if nothing happened. And maybe to her it was nothing. But for me, it was the beginning of a shift I could feel but couldn't name. A shift that the only other person who seemed to notice was Josh, our driver. He watched me carefully that morning as he carried the shopping bags into the house. "You good, madam?" he asked gently. I wasn't. I knew I wasn't. But I nodded anyway. I'm fine. He didn't believe me. And that was the first moment I realized. Someone else had started paying attention just when the man I loved was losing focus. By the third day, the shift in the house was no longer a whisper, it was a presence. Small things, light things, but they added up. Toby began coming around more often, but somehow I saw him less. Whenever he showed up, Chisholm just happened to be nearby, wiping shelves, cleaning plates, arranging spoons that didn't need arranging. She moved quietly, almost invisibly, but she was always within sight. I told myself I was overthinking. That wedding stress was making me sensitive. That it was nothing. But then came the moment that broke me a little more. I was in the kitchen trying to rewrite the caterer's contract when I overheard my mother scolding Chisholm lightly. "Chisholm, don't carry heavy things in front of guests," my mother said. "Your back is small." Toby walked in at that exact moment, and, instead of passing, he stopped beside her. "Are you okay?" he asked. She nodded quickly. "I'm fine, sir." He took the pot from her hands anyway. "You don't need to be doing all this heavy lifting. Tell me if they're stressing you." I blinked.
They? Who was they?
I stepped forward. "Toby, it's just a pot." He didn't even look at me first. He looked at her. That sting again, sharp, small, humiliating. "Oh, babe," he finally turned to me.
"She's small now.
Someone has to look out for her." The silence that followed choked me. My mother noticed my face immediately. "Toby, you're doing too much. Leave the girl alone. She's fine." Chisholm quickly took the pot back and lowered her head, but I saw it, the faint, tiny blush on her cheeks. I walked out before my chest betrayed me. Outside, by the car, Josh was cleaning the windshield. The morning sun lit his face, and he paused when he saw me coming out too fast, too quietly. "Madam," he asked. I tried to smile. "You know those days when everything feels noisy?" He nodded slowly, wiping his hands on a rag. "You look tired. More than usual." I wanted to lie, but my throat refused. "What if," I began, staring at the compound floor, "what if someone you care about starts caring about someone else without even realizing it?" Josh's eyes lifted. Something unreadable flickered there. He didn't ask for details. He didn't force words out of me. Instead, he said quietly, "When someone starts slipping away, they don't look back. But the people who truly see you, they notice when you're hurting, even when you say nothing." His voice cracked something in me, the honesty, the gentleness. Before I could respond, we heard Toby's voice inside, calling my name like everything was normal. I straightened myself and turned to go inside. But just before I entered the doorway, Josh said quietly, "Nola, you deserve someone who sees you." I didn't look back, but his words followed me all day, staying in places Toby had stopped reaching. That night, I went to bed beside my long list of wedding tasks, and for the first time since our engagement, I wasn't thinking about the wedding. I was thinking about the cracks, about Toby's attention shifting, and about the one person in that house who seemed to notice me slipping. The driver. The man I had never looked at twice. Until now. By morning, the house felt heavier. Not with noise, with silence. The kind of silence that grows between two people who used to understand each other without speaking. Toby arrived earlier than usual, smiling like everything was fine. But the moment he walked in, Chisholm appeared from the corridor, holding folded towels.
Too convenient.
Too frequent. Too deliberate. "Good morning, sir," she said, voice soft. "Morning," he replied, his tone softer than he ever used with me lately. I inhaled sharply. When he finally turned to me, I gave him a smile that didn't survive past my lips.
"We need to talk," I said.
He paused.
"Now." "Yes,
now." I walked into my room, leaving the door open enough for him to follow. He stepped in and closed it behind him. "What's wrong?" he asked, leaning against the wardrobe like he expected a small issue. But this wasn't small. I faced him. "Toby, if you don't love me anymore, just say it." He blinked, stunned. "Nola, what are you talking about? You're different. You're here, but not here. You pay attention to everything except me." And lately, my throat tightened. You've suddenly become Chisholm's guardian angel. He scoffed. Is that what this is about? Yes, I said firmly. Because I'm not blind. He sighed, rubbing his forehead. Nola, she's new here. I'm just being friendly. Friendly? I asked. Or interested? His eyes narrowed. Are you accusing me of something? I didn't answer because I didn't trust what would come out. Instead, I said softly, I'm losing you, Toby. And I feel like I'm the only one who notices. He opened his mouth, closed it, then opened it again. No one is losing anyone. You're stressed. The wedding is overwhelming you. I shook my head. The wedding didn't change you. Something else did. He stepped closer, trying to touch my arm. I stepped back. That hurt him. I could see it. But not enough to open his eyes. Nola, he said, voice low, there's nothing going on between me and Chisholm. But he didn't deny the shift. He didn't say he still loved me the way he used to. He didn't reassure me with the warmth I was begging for. He just defended himself. And her. A tear escaped before I could stop it. I wiped it quickly. Toby stepped closer again. Please don't cry. But his voice felt distant. Like he was comforting someone he didn't know how to reach anymore. I didn't reply. I moved past him and opened the door, wanting space before I said something we couldn't take back. But the moment the door opened, Josh was standing right there, frozen mid-step, holding the car keys. He had heard everything. His eyes flickered between the two of us, but he said nothing. Toby brushed past him and left the room, frustrated. Josh remained a moment longer, his voice barely above a whisper. You shouldn't have to beg for what already belongs to you. My breath caught. Josh. I'm sorry, he said quickly, stepping back. I'll be outside when you need me. But the look he gave me lingered, gentle, protective, honest in a way Toby hadn't been in months. And for the first time since this whole mess began, someone's presence made me feel seen. Not Chisholm. Not my mother. Not even my fiancé. The driver. The man who didn't owe me anything, yet sensed everything. By the fifth day, my heart felt like it was walking ahead of me, bruised, tired, and unsure of what step would hurt next. My mother had gone for an event. The house was unusually quiet, and Toby had promised to stop by to talk properly. I wasn't sure if I was ready for that talk, but I needed clarity, even if it broke me. I was in the sitting room arranging invitation cards when I realized something. Chisholm was missing. Not in the kitchen. Not in the backyard. Not with my mother. And Toby wasn't picking my calls. A strange heaviness settled in my chest. I stepped onto the balcony for air, and that was when I heard it. A low murmur. A soft voice. Two voices. Coming from the back storage room downstairs. My heart started pounding. I moved quietly down the stairs, following the sound. As I approached the storage door, their voices became clearer. Too clear. Not whispering. Not flirty. Laughing.
His laugh.
Her shy giggle. I froze outside the slightly open door, my breath stuck halfway. She's a good person, Chisholm said softly, but I think she's overwhelmed. Wedding things are too much. Toby sighed. I know. But she doesn't listen anymore. She just reacts. Everything feels like stress. With you, it feels easy. My heart cracked. Not because they were touching. Not because they were kissing. But because he used a tone with her that I hadn't heard in months. Gentle, patient, soft. Chisholm's voice trembled. Sir, please don't say it like that. He chuckled lightly. Don't say what? That it's easy with me.
Silence.
Painful, heavy silence. Then Toby spoke, voice low, too low for me to forget. Because it is. I stepped back. The floor under me felt like sand. No physical cheating. No betrayal of skin. But something worse. Emotional intimacy. The kind that grows slowly. Quietly. Dangerously. A tear slid down my face, but before it could fall, the door opened from inside. Chisholm gasped when she saw me. Her hands flew to her chest. Ma, I didn't, we were just... Toby's face drained of color. Nola, wait, don't get the wrong impression? I whispered.
My voice wasn't loud.
It wasn't angry. It was empty. You said it was easy with her. He opened his mouth, eyes wide, guilt everywhere. It's not what? Don't lie, I said gently.
Please.
I'm too tired. For the first time in days, he didn't move closer. He didn't reach for me. He just stood there, frozen, ashamed, exposed. Chisholm's eyes filled with tears. I didn't mean anything. I swear, Ma. But I couldn't hear anything anymore. My ears were ringing. My chest was tight. My vision blurred. And then, out of nowhere, Josh appeared at the bottom of the stairs. He took one look at me and knew. Nola, he said softly, stepping forward like he was approaching someone drowning. I didn't say a word. I just looked up at him, the only steady thing in that moment, and my knees almost buckled. He caught my arm gently, supporting me with a tenderness that broke me open. You shouldn't be here, he whispered. Not like this. I wanted to speak, but no words came. Behind us, Toby called my name again, voice shaking now. Please, baby, wait. But I didn't turn. I didn't look at him. I let Josh lead me away. And for the first time, I asked myself the question I had been afraid of. What if I had been fighting for a man who had already stopped choosing me? I didn't sleep that night. My phone buzzed endlessly, Toby calling, messaging, voice notes begging me to just listen. I turned the phone face down on the bed and stared at the ceiling until sunrise painted pale lines across the curtains. For the first time since the engagement, I felt certain. Certainty can be quiet. No drama. No screaming. Just a steady knowing. I deserve better than emotional leftovers. By mid-morning the house became busy again, makeup artists arriving for a pre-wedding fitting my mother scheduled weeks earlier. I walked past them. I went to my room, zipped a small overnight bag, and wrote one short note for my mother. I need space. I will talk to you when my heart can breathe. Downstairs, Josh was cleaning the car when he saw me dragging the bag. Madam, his voice caught. Are you traveling? Yes, I said simply. He didn't ask where. He didn't question my decision. He just opened the boot quietly. As I was about to step into the car, a familiar voice shouted behind me. Nola, Toby. He stood at the gate looking disheveled, eyes red, hair rumpled, jacket half worn. I froze. He walked toward me slowly, like a man afraid of pushing too hard. I didn't know how to explain what happened, he said breathlessly. I didn't realize how close I had let things get emotionally until you heard it yourself. That's exactly the problem, I replied calmly. You didn't notice me leaving until I was already gone. He reached for my hand. I didn't pull away, but I didn't squeeze back either. I never cheated, he whispered urgently. I know, I said. And that hurts more. Confusion crossed his face. You built intimacy with someone else while I stood beside you. I continued. You connected emotionally where you should have been connecting with me. You didn't touch her, but you touched something that belonged to us. Tears welled in his eyes. I still love you, he said. I shook my head slowly. No, Toby. You love the version of me you're losing, not the woman I am now. Silence stood between us. Josh shifted uncomfortably behind me. Toby noticed for the first time. You're leaving with him? I turned halfway toward Josh, not romantically, not dramatically, simply acknowledging the quiet strength beside me. No, I said gently. I'm leaving for me. Josh met my eyes, offering no claim, no pressure, only support. I don't even know where I'm going yet, I added. But I know I'm not walking into a marriage where I already feel alone. Toby closed his eyes. Chisholm had been watching from the doorway, pale, trembling. When our eyes met, she whispered, I'm sorry. I nodded sadly. I believe you. But apologies couldn't return what had already changed. I stepped into the car. Josh drove without speaking, respecting the silence I needed. Weeks later, I was staying temporarily by the beach in Lekki, rebuilding myself piece by piece. Toby tried, but I held firm. Chisholm returned to her village. The wedding was officially cancelled. The quiet remained. One evening, Josh came by to drop off paperwork I had forgotten at the house. We walked by the shoreline as the sun melted into gold. You look lighter, he said softly. I feel lighter. We stood side by side, waves brushing the sand. And in that simple, safe silence, I realized something powerful. Love shouldn't make you compete. Love shouldn't leave you begging. Love should make you feel chosen without asking. As the wind lifted my hair and Josh stepped just a little closer, I smiled for the first time without any weight attached to it. I wasn't healed completely, but I was finally moving toward somewhere peaceful. And this time, I wasn't walking alone anymore.